Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon, and today I am bringing you my most disappointing and surprising books of 2021. I am still in the same outfit that I wore in my best and worst because I'm batch filming today, which makes things easier for me, of course. So if you have not watched that already, I will leave it linked in the description. But this is my most surprising and disappointing. I'm gonna start with the disappointing because I feel like bad news is always good to get first, so the good news you end off on a good note. So I'm gonna start off with disappointing, and if you like this video, want to stick around, I have some fun things coming up in 2022, so subscribe, hit the bell, and join the community. I would love to know what you're reading, what your plans are for 2022. Tell me everything, because I am a sucker for planning. I'm a sucker for anything to do with reading, so let me know in the comments if you have big plans or what your reading plans are for the new year. And without further ado, kicking this off with number 5 of most disappointing is going to be Close Your Eyes. This was on my worst books of the year. I did not enjoy this. This was about a school shooting, but it lacked emotional value. It felt like you were just being told what was happened. I felt like if it went into more detail about how the characters were feeling, how it affected them mentally, it would have been a much hard-hitting story, but it just flopped for me. Like, it wasn't, I was expecting to go on this hard-hitting emotional journey with all of these characters, and I got none of that. So yeah, this was really quite disappointing. But you have some that just don't work for you, and this didn't work for me. So number 4 is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I I enjoyed this. It was okay. It was just disappointing because it wasn't what I wanted. Like, there was parts in this that I did really enjoy, and I would definitely look into the author's work more, but it just didn't hit where it was meant to hit for me. Like, the romance didn't hit, the kind of like scary plot line I wish actually ran more, because like the murder and the mystery part of this book was spot on. It was brilliant. Everything else was just kind of meh, and unfortunately I just didn't really enjoy it that much. I did still give this a 3 stars. It was a middle of the road read. I'm not reading the sequel. It was okay, but it wasn't great by any means. Number 3 on this list is Credence by Penelope Douglas, and it hurts my heart to put a Penelope Douglas book on here because I love their work, but I feel like this is both my fault and both the book's fault, because I did not know this was a reverse harem. So going into it, with it being my first one, not experiencing this kind of trope before or romance before, I kind of shocked myself, which wasn't a good thing. So I went into this not knowing much and came out of it feeling icky. Like, this is pretty hardcore stuff. It's pretty ancestral, which no, and also it's a lot. Like, it's a lot. There's three romantic interests in this one book, and they're all somehow related. So like, this just didn't do it for me. Like, this was just too much, and I gave it a 3 stars because the writing is always there with Penelope Douglas, but this storyline just wasn't it for me. Maybe my own fault for not looking into content warnings, but also at the same time, like, it's Penelope Douglas, so I was going to pick it up anyway. I just did not get along with this one, unfortunately. Coming in at number 2 for most disappointing is White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. Oh my god, like, I have read pretty much all of Tiffany D. Jackson's work and 5-starred them all. This, however, I give a 3 stars. The story was okay, but there was too much mention of bed bugs to be actually like uncomfortable. There's like 2 main storylines that go through this novel, and one of them just isn't resolved. Like, it just ends, and it just wasn't enough closure for me. I again loved the writing. I love Tiffany D. Jackson's writing. I love the voice and everything like that, which is why I gave it 3 stars. But unfortunately, the story wasn't here for me in this one, and I just didn't really like that. I was just so disappointed because I was so hyped for this. I was so hyped that I pre-ordered a hardcover, and it just didn't work. unfortunately. So maybe next one will be a bit better. I have still high hopes. This is the only one I've rated under a 5-star that I've read by this author, so maybe this was just a fluke, I don't know, but yeah, I'm sorry. Now, coming in at number 1 for the most disappointing book I read this year is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. If you don't know, From Blood and Ash was on my best list. This is on my most disappointing list because it just wasn't it. The first one was so good. This one, meh. Like, it was still 3.5 stars, so it wasn't the worst book ever, but compared to the first one, this one just wasn't it. Not a lot happened. It's a pretty chunky book. Not a lot happened. And also the characters just felt a bit different in this one. I did enjoy this, I just didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. And I said in my best and worst that I think hopefully the third one will be better, more like the first one, and I'll have better feelings towards it. This just dragged and it felt too long. I have vlogs for From Blood and Ash and for Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I will link them down below. I'm doing a playlist of separate vlogs for each of these books, so the third one will be coming out soon. So subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. And yeah, this was just not it. And I'm very sad because the first book was fire. Maybe the third book will be better, hopefully. And coming in with my most surprising reads of 2021, I have a few. The 5th book on this list is A Kind of Spark by Ellie Nicoli. I actually read this for a Read It Like vlog. I will leave that link down below. I read Like Gavin, and this was one of the books that I picked, and I really enjoyed this. This was so heartwarming and just so beautifully done. It follows a neurodivergent main character, which I've not read much of, but I definitely want to read more from this author because they write it just greatly. I'm in love with the characters in this book and the world, the family support and stuff. I just really enjoyed this, and the look into neurodivergent characters done so well in a middle grade just makes my heart happy. And I will definitely be picking up more from this author because I just love what they do. And this was such a surprise because I picked this up for a video not expecting much. I don't read huge amounts of middle grade, but I am so glad that I read this one because it ended up surprising me and being a 5-star. So thank you to Gavin for recommending this, and I will definitely keep my eye out on this author because their work is great. Coming in at number 4, I have here The Dead and the Dark by Courtney Gold. I pre-ordered this and buddy read it with Effie. Always linked down below, by the way. What Effie reads, best friend, great content, link down below. I absolutely loved this book. Like, it wasn't quite a 5 stars, it was a 4.5, but it was kind of like an episode of Supernatural. It kind of gave me that kind of feeling, and it's sapphic, which I love that. So this to me just added up to a win. Paranormal, supernatural vibes, sapphic, like this just was a win for me. The reason that it didn't quite make my best books and the reason it didn't quite reach 5-star was because there was some ambiguous things surrounding the problem in this book, and I wish they were just fleshed out that little bit more. I also wish the ending gave you like a clearer wrap of what was actually happening, but apart from that, I really enjoyed this. I will definitely pick up from this author in the future, and I was surprised by how much I liked this. So yeah, also the cover is beautiful, so I'm happy I own this. Coming in at number 3, I have here Bitten by Kelly Armstrong. This was the biggest surprise ever. So I ended up giving this a 4 stars, and I've actually got like watching the first episode of the TV show after reading this book and comparing the two. I really enjoyed what Kelly Armstrong does with paranormal. I just really enjoy going into this world and experiencing it. This is an adult paranormal fantasy series, and this one follows werewolves. And I have not read much werewolf books, but this one done it for me. And I was so surprised that I enjoyed it so much because I read this and then went away and bought the next 6 in the series. and then I read the sequel, which I enjoyed just as much. So yeah, this was a huge shock, but not a bad one, because now I own the whole series. Well, not the whole series. Now I own some of the series. I can continue on in this paranormal world with characters I already know and writing that I enjoy. So yeah, this was a good surprise, and I'm so happy that I picked this up. Coming in at number 2 for most surprising is The Girl from the Well by Rin Chupeco. I picked this up on a whim and listened to the audiobook. The audiobook is great, by the way, if you're looking for a recommendation. I didn't expect much from this. I knew very little going in, and when I did start reading it, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. By the end, I was like, oh my god, I love these characters. I need to know what happens. Like, you can't leave me on this. It's not even a cliffhanger. It's like, oh, what will happen next kind of moment. And I just loved this. I loved the writing. I loved the feeling, the hard-hittedness of it, the culture that was written into this. Everything about this book surprised me, but also I don't know why it surprised me, because I've heard such good things. I cannot wait to read more from this author, and I am so glad that I picked this up, and I will be picking up the sequel in 2022. But yeah, this surprised me, and I'm so glad that I read this, because it was so good. It was really good. And the final book I have on this list is going to be Tristan Six Venom by Penelope Douglas. You might wonder why this is on my most surprising list instead of my best list, because I did give this a 5 stars. The reason this is on my most surprising is because this is a bully romance. It's also sapphic, which is the first sapphic bully romance I've ever read. Coming from Penelope Douglas, of course, I had high hopes and did want it to be another favourite. But I was a little bit worried, because I had been so used to the male-female kind of bully romance that I've read from this author in the past, that I was just worried that the sapphic bully romance wouldn't be as good. I was worried it was going to be catty and bitchy and not actually work, but this worked. This worked really well. Like, it is catty, it's bitchy, like these girls go at each other, but it's not so much like one person bullying the other into submission. It's them kind of like bullying each other, which I think was really done well, which is why it surprised me so much, because I was a little bit hesitant because I hadn't read sapphic from this author. But now that I have read it, I need more. I need more. Just all of the sapphic bully romances, please, Penelope Douglas. My heart would be so happy. My bank account, not much, but I'll make do. I will make do. And yeah, this is coming in number 1 most surprising, because I went in with high expectations because Penelope Douglas, but also lowered expectations because it's something that I've not read before. It's something that Penelope Douglas hasn't done before. And surprise, surprise, I got a 5-star read. And this is my most surprising 5-star read of the year, because I loved it so much. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so very much for watching. If you made it this far, put a book stack emoji down in the comments. Tell me your favourite or most surprising or worst or disappointing book of the year in the comments. Let me know how your year went in reading terms. I will be back at you when I have more to say. But until then, stay safe, happy and healthy, and I shall see you next time. Bye.
Pack up my summer in a Ziploc bag. Old maps and tchotchkes, photographs, said this and that. I'll write myself a letter so that I'll remember